Hello, and welcome to the webinar, Finding Work After COVID-19. This presentation is brought to you by CWJC and CMJC of Nacogdoches, Texas. My name is Lila Clay, and I will be your host for this event. I am the current Executive Director for Christian Women's and Men's Job Corps in Nacogdoches, Texas, also known as CWJC or CMJC. I have been a human resource college recruiter for a major corporation, during which time I conducted interviews and sifted through hundreds if not thousands of resumes. CWJC and CMJC is a nonprofit agency. We are employee consultants who can help you obtain the job skills you need to find meaningful employment that provides living wage. We will walk with you to help you reach your potential and find a meaningful career. We help anyone who has need. We do not discriminate. Our mission is to help you find work that will give you a living wage. We are not income-based either. Our goal is to help people break the cycle of poverty and find meaningful work. We work woman to woman or man to man. CWJC and CMJC empowers participants so they can build a foundation for successful employment and pursue their life goals, whether it is a better job, a better education, or a better life. Here is what we will cover today in this seminar: how COVID-19 has changed the job market, how to create a functional resume, how to search online for a job, how to do an online interview, and how to update your skills for free. Before we begin our first session, I need to give you a little legal stuff. We need to say up front that this information is in no way a substitute for legal advice or professional counsel. It is purely for informational or educational purposes only. Watching this video does not form a professional relationship or constitute receiving professional advice. Consulting a professional is your best course of action, rather than solely relying on a video. We would love to actually hear from you if you want some one-on-one advice or would like for us to try to help you in finding a job. Feel free to go to our website and look for a phone number or email where you can contact us. Contacting us through comments is not a good way to reach us, just so you know. Now let's begin talking about how COVID-19 has changed the job market. Unemployment has soared. It's at Great Depression levels. As of the making of this video, it's 14.7%. That means more competition is out there. Some jobs will not come back. It may take longer for the economy to get better. If you're still employed, you might even have to expect some pay cuts in the future, or at the very least, you may not get a raise. Some of the hardest hit industries in Nacogdoches are the restaurant industry, local gyms, movie theaters, hotels, smaller retail stores, RV industry, car dealerships, salons, travel industry, and oh yes, the oil industry. Although this has been compounded by turmoil that has happened in the Middle East, not just the COVID situation. A lot of these industries are impacted nationwide, not just locally. Another change that has happened is an uptick in online activity. This has impacted the job market not like anything we've seen before. While some of this was happening before COVID-19, we are seeing even more companies take this path as a result of the virus. Job searching is almost entirely online now, as many of us cannot even enter into workplaces. Networking online, also essential, is becoming more and more important through different social media companies due to social distancing. Remote employment. As more and more companies are doing things online, the demand is creating more work at home. There are just more employment opportunities for remote work. Applications. Even before the virus, we were seeing online applications become the norm. COVID-19 has only risen it to new levels. Online interviews, once reserved for executives, is starting to happen at lower levels, even at entry level, but we will discuss this more later. What we're seeing is that even as business starts to return to normal, some of the changes that happened during the virus are going to continue to happen even after the virus. With the increase of online activity, we're also seeing online scams. This is my warning section because we do not want you to get taken for a ride just when you are needing a job. Let's talk about the warning signs of a possible online job scam. One of the things to look for when you're looking at a job listing is the company name. If there's no company name listed, in fact, you'll see great details on benefits, wages, job description, but the company name seems to be a mystery or it's just missing. This is a surefire indicator that you got a scam going. You might want to move on to a new job listing. Vague job descriptions, or none, is the opposite of what we just mentioned. Here you find that valid company name, but there's no real details about the job. A professional company just will not do this. Generic emails is another indicator. Most companies use their websites' URL addresses for their employees. You will not see generic emails like Hotmail or Gmail. Now, a mom and pop type business without a strong social media presence might do this, but not a corporation. One of the tricks they do is to put the company name in front of the generic email in hopes of fooling you. For example, you might see apple@hotmail.com versus something that might be more legitimate, as in this example, tom.smith@apple.com. Notice the URL website is at the end, apple.com, and then the name of the representative is before the @ sign. Don't be fooled. Simply go online and see what the company's URL address is, and that will let you know what to look for. You can also see what emails they do list on their website. Instant messenger interviews is another place to be cautious. Major companies usually will not use this feature. Again, only a mom and pop local business might use this to conduct an interview. But then you will know it's a small local business. You will be able to call and verify your contact with them, which we recommend. If you get an interview with a small local business, make sure you take the time to contact them. One of the things that you can do is go to a phone book or go on the website, get a number, and call them before the interview. When you call, just give your name and tell them you're wanting to verify the date and time of the interview to ensure that you do not miss it and everything is still scheduled. Thank them for the opportunity to interview. If they are clueless when you call, thank them anyway and tell them someone online might be impersonating their business. Then move on to another application. Another warning sign of a scam is when the URL doesn't match the real company. For example, if you go to General Electric's website, you will see that their web address is ge.com. Scammers will often put the business name in the front of another word, like my example here, gecareers.com. Most companies have subpages on their site. It is more likely that the word careers would appear after the company's web address, not before it, as it would be a subpage of the website. Thus, ge.com/careers. Another warning sign is to look for bad grammar or spelling in the job description or in the speech. Bad English is an indicator whether it is in the job description, the follow-up email correspondence, or even during the interview. Be especially leery of any kind of wire transfers. This should make an alarm bell go off in your head, shouting, "Scam, scam." Also, requests for your banking and financial information. They might say they need it to do a credit check or a background check. Before you hand over that information, though, make sure you are talking to a genuine representative of the company. Simply explain that you need to verify their identity before releasing that information. That goes also for requests for Social Security and driver's license numbers. Legitimate businesses will need that kind of information. Scammers, however, will steal it. Simply request a way you can securely send these documents. For example, you can ask if you can drop them off or mail them to the company. Once you get an address, please verify that address online. You can even verify phone numbers with a little Google search. I even recommend calling the company and making sure that that person is actually an employee of theirs. Finally, be wary of the need for an immediate interview. If you just sent the application in and not even 10 minutes later, someone is calling you for an interview, you might want to go ahead with the interview, but be cautious while doing it, especially if they offer you the job right away. Whenever there's a sense of urgency, you need to step back. If they offer you the job right away or you're picking up any sense of urgency, that should make you pause. Most online companies will have a process before hiring you, which may include testing, multiple interviews, applications. They just won't rush things like that. Bottom line is that we want you to stay safe. You do not need any more drama in your life. A good tip is to take your time and simply open a new browser. Don't just do a tab, open a whole new browser and Google search the company. It could save you a lot of heartache. It's best to do this before the interview. Simply check the URL, look for where the company is located, check for email addresses and area codes for phone numbers. If you're working from home, you want to take time to look at this information. I cannot emphasize this enough. Now, if the interviewer you're talking to might be at home for some reason because the company is closed, they might have a phone number that is different from the company. But the area code should probably match, and everything else should match up. Always good advice not to click on a link within their information. Right-click the link and paste it somewhere. But before you do, make sure the link looks legitimate. Does it have some weird URL address? Again, open that browser, search for the company name, explore their site, maybe even do a Google search where you type in the company name and the word scam. If it is a scam, chances are someone else has already fallen for it, and there might be info on the web about it already. Our next section teaches you how to create a functional resume. In this section, we will examine what a functional resume is, when you should consider using it, and what it looks like. What is a functional resume? A functional resume focuses on your skills and experience rather than on your chronological work history. When do you use a functional resume? It is typically used by job seekers who are changing careers, who have gaps in their employment history, or whose work history is not directly related to the job. Now let's talk about what a functional resume looks like in more detail. At the beginning of your resume, write a summary that focuses in on the skills you have that are relevant to the job you're applying for. Because of this, we highly recommend you save your resume to a Word file because you will need to change that summary to match the next job you apply for. Make sure you save each copy or print an additional copy when you submit for the job so you can go back and review it. You're going to want to remember what you put on your resume before the interview. Yes, this is extra work, but it is so worth it. Human resource recruiters only spend 6 seconds looking at your resume to begin with, and if those buzzwords are not upfront and clear, they won't stop long enough to look more in depth. You have to capture their attention right away. Using keywords from the job description right in the summary will help you. Keywords are skills listed in the job description. After all, they are hiring you to do a particular job, so tell them that you do have those particular skills. This can make them stop and actually read your resume. Organize your resume by themes: customer service experience, accounting experience. These are just some samples, but you want to use those keywords from the job description. Again, this resume isn't a regular chronological resume. It isn't about dates. It's not about the dates you work so much, it's about the skills you have. This can help you when you want to switch career fields. Because if you're applying for a job you've never done before, you can still show them that you have the job skills for that job by simply listing them. Number 3, mention any key projects or awards that relate to the job you're applying for. Now include your employment history. Doesn't need to be as detailed as a regular chronological resume because you have listed those skills already. Just summarize your job description and reinforce any keywords that match the job description. Now add educational pursuits. Add the education relevant to the employment. Notice it's relevant to employment. That means you do not have to list high school or every certification or college degree you possess. You list items relevant to the job. So if you're applying for a driver or delivery position, list the courses you've completed, such as a van safety course or CDL certifications. If you have nothing relevant to the job, then go ahead and list your high school diploma or GED or whatever degree program you have. Make sure you include a cover letter with a functional resume. You will need to write a cover letter if you need to explain any gaps in your resume or if you're explaining why you are changing career fields. Check the document, though, before you submit and make sure that it's free of spelling or grammar errors. Here's a sample resume. I wanted you to see what it looks like. I have generic header here on this resume. I know. But it does have the name and contact information. You can jazz that up a little if you want to. When you do, be careful to not use hard to read colors or fancy fonts. In my particular illustration here, I have a guy named Juan Smith. Juan is applying for a heavy equipment operator position. Notice the summary. Safety conscious with extensive experience operating large-scale equipment involving industrial, municipal, and residential construction site preparation. The job description had the words safety conscious, large-scale equipment, and construction site preparation. So I used those 3 terms when I constructed my opening sentence. The summary should be 1 to 2 sentences only. My goal is to catch that HR person in that first 6 seconds with those target words that he's looking for in the job description. Right after this section, you see themes listed. You choose the themes or skills you want to highlight based off the job description. In this case, I decided to list the large-scale equipment Juan had experience with. You could list software programs or office machines, metal equipment. You get the idea. The next theme I highlighted is supervisory or management experience, and so I listed that. Our third theme dealt with safety because that was highlighted in the job description. Finally, our last theme or skill set that I wanted to highlight was communication, another item we found in the job description. See how if you're trying to switch career roles, this would enable you to demonstrate how even though you have never done this particular job you're applying for, you still possess the skills from other places of employment. These bullets can be in a sentence type format, or it could be just certain words. It could be bullet words. After I've gotten through highlighting my different themes, I come to the section called awards. Now, it doesn't have to be an actual certificate. Did you ever get a little bonus because you did something well and you were recognized for it? Or how about Employee of the Month? If you think about it, you can probably list something you have been recognized for. What about from school? Any awards that are relevant? If you simply do not have anything, you can skip this section. Next, we list the professional experience. Here's where it's listed by dates chronologically. Notice the placement, however. On a regular resume, this section is much closer to the top. We have it lower here because we're not emphasizing dates so much as skills. If you've done your job right, the recruiter is so excited about the skills list that he was looking at or she was looking at on your resume that all they're doing now in the job in this part is looking to see if you actually did a job where you got those skills. This part of the job description, this part of the resume should reinforce those skills. The section should almost say, here is where I got these skills I just told you about. It isn't necessary to list every job you've ever had either. You can just do the past 10 years, unless you need to capture an earlier job that is relevant to this job. Finally comes the education part. Again, I only listed the certification that was relevant to the job. If you only have a high school degree, then put that on this here. But it's really more important to highlight what is relevant to it. If you do not have any kind of certification that's relevant to this job or education, you can list your high school degree. You can put that school here and say that you got the degree and add a valid driver's license. If it's been a while since you graduated from high school or got that GED, leave the date off, and where the date goes, write the word diploma. I added this slide because all the experts agree it's okay to put COVID-19 down on your resume. If you want to communicate why you lost your job and that it wasn't for any other reason except for the virus, and that's why you're currently not employed, then simply write COVID-19, the date you lost your job, and put to present. You can even do this later to explain why there's a gap in your resume. If you graduated from school and you haven't gotten a job right away, this is another thing that you can put down. This will explain your current unemployment status, and you can use it even later to explain the gap, like I mentioned. Now, here are the two resumes side by side for you to compare. I made these a little fancier using bullet points. I will give you a moment to look over them. If you have room, you can always add references available upon request to the functional resume as well as the chronological. Otherwise, it isn't necessary. Notice on the functional resume, I do not have to write the skills out in sentence form. I can just list them. I mentioned that earlier, but I wanted to show you how it can be done. Another difference is the regular resume. usually features a section called Activities. This can be clubs or organizations you're a part of, volunteer experience you've had. College students often place their fraternity or sorority information here. You can place publications or certifications. They are often listed separate from education, and this is the spot that they go in as well. Just take a minute and look at the differences between the two resumes. Again, the chronological resume is on the left, and the functional resume is on your right. Now let's talk about how to search online for a job. In this section, we're going to talk about job search engines versus job boards, types of job sites available, and the best ones to use, using advanced search, and why you should sign up for those job alerts. Let's talk about job search engines versus job boards, because I think it's important for you to understand the difference. Job boards typically list positions that have been posted by employers, while job search engines are a collection of job listings that have been collected from job boards and company websites. What that means is they search other sites. They have a program that visits those companies' websites and job board sites to determine what is a job posting, and then it copies it and brings that information back to their search engine. Kind of like how Google seeks out websites and then lists them on their search engine. Monstercom is a job board. That means the employer has paid a fee to list a very specific job on their site. CareerBuilders.com is a job board. It's typically geared to those with a bachelor's degree. Some job boards can be location specific or niche specific, like DICE, which is a great place to go if you have a degree in technology or want a tech job. Your local Chamber of Commerce or city site sometimes features a job board. These are location-specific job boards, a great resource that may have jobs not listed on those big search engines or other job boards because employers want to hire locally. Search engines like Indeed.com or SimplyHired.com collect thousands of listings on their sites because they crawl the internet like I explained earlier. They find those job postings and then they list them on their site. This means they can have thousands of jobs listed at one centralized location, which does have its benefits. They have a wide variety of job listings. However, they also might have duplicate listings. Because the job was listed on more than one site, it will be brought back and listed more than one time on their search engine. So let me explain that. If the company posts a job on their company website and then lists it on a job board site, then the search engine will find the job on those two different sites and bring them both back to their search engine listing. This can give you the false impression that the company is seeking multiple people for this position when they are not. Another issue is that the job might already be filled. Because the employer didn't list it with the search engine per se, they might not communicate with the search engine that the position has been filled. It might take the search engine a little while to recognize that the job is no longer posted and then delete it from their search results. Here are some of our top sites that we recommend for looking for a job online. Career Builder is good if you have a degree. DICE is great for tech jobs. Google for jobs because of that large database listing. Idealists can also do internships or volunteer jobs. This is great if you need experience in a career field and want to break into the market. Indeed, that large listing search engine site that we mentioned before is just a great place to go to. LinkedIn is excellent for networking, which we will talk about more later. Link Up can help you avoid spam, scams, and duplicate job listings. FlexJobs.com specializes in remote online jobs. More on this one later as well. ZipRecruiter helps with job preferences, and WorkInTexas.com can help keep you local if you want to work in Texas. Now, for some tips. Don't limit yourself to just one job site, because each job site lists jobs from a particular selection of websites and companies. We recommend that you use advanced search as well. Many of the job sites have an advanced search option. This feature allows you to narrow your search to a desired location and even desired qualifications or skills. Try this feature to narrow your search results. Time is valuable. Those big six search engines can overwhelm you and waste your time with hundreds of listings that are not relevant to you. So narrow your search. Now, with that said, if you narrow your search and get no results, then you need to delete a few of those desired qualifications and broaden your search back out. Only you can decide what options to eliminate, but choose the ones you can live with. If you cannot move, then keep the location option, but maybe change the desired salary option. Many of these sites allow you to receive job alerts. Job alert notifications by email when a new job is posted. This feature can allow you to get your application in quicker. The early bird does really sometimes catch the worm. Set the alert feature to notify you whenever a job matches your interests, skills, or search interests. Which brings me now to tip number 2. Be available. Check your emails and be willing to take emails and phone calls from numbers you do not recognize. This can help you get ahead of other applicants. Please realize that if you set this feature, that you need to check your email often. You cannot set this all up and then come back to it in a week. I worked with a person who was just sick because we set the feature up and they failed to check their email. By the time they saw 3 jobs they were qualified for and actually would have loved to apply for, they were just too late. Because they were late checking, interviews were already set and it was too late to apply. Keep an eye on that junk mail filter too. Things can get lost in it. You do not want to lose out simply because your precious job that you've been waiting for got sent to your spam email. Another note, if you're applying for jobs, do not screen your phone calls. You can miss job opportunities doing that. Often employers will not leave a message. They will just go on to the next applicant. This is not the time to screen calls. Pick up on those unlisted numbers and answer that call. Now, for tip number 3. While internet searches are good, 60% of all jobs found are by networking. And some sources cite even higher statistics. This is where the old saying comes in. Often it isn't what you know, but who you know. This is where LinkedIn can come in handy. If you do not have a LinkedIn account, we recommend you get one. Now, while this is a social media account, it is not a Facebook account. Keep your social fun on Facebook. LinkedIn should be your professional site. Make it polished. Keep it up to date. Do not put anything on it you don't want your boss to see. It is to be non-political, non-religious. This site is to be non-opinionated. You just want to keep it clean and neutral. Now that your linked up site is up, start searching for old high school friends, alumni, past coworkers. See where they're working. Is it a company you're interested in? If so, you might want to contact them. You can ask if their company is hiring. Who do you talk to get a job within the company? Will they give you a reference? Will they let you know if something comes up? Which brings me to tip number 4. When networking, do not ask for a job right away. You've not had contact with that person in years. This can put the person off. People can respond funny when they feel like all you want is something from them. First, chat with them. Send a generic chat. Ask how they've been doing. Ask about the kids or spouse. Bring them up to date on what you've been doing since you last saw each other. Work on the relationship first, and then ask about the job as time permits. Okay, my tip number 5. Check spelling and grammar. I know, I've already said this, but it's really important, especially when you're online and you get in a hurry and maybe there's a lot of jobs you're looking at. Have someone proofread your resume. Use spell check and grammar check. There's a site that could help you with grammar, especially for those letters, those cover letters. It's www.grammarly.com. You can use it for just about anything. Applications that require explanation responses or any kind of email communications would be a good thing to maybe pop over into Grammarly first and just have it checked. It's free, by the way. Doing an online application, you can type your answers and then copy and paste them into a Word document to check spelling and simple grammar errors. See if you made any errors and then copy and paste them back to your online application. Don't have access to those programs? Then use Google for spell check, or just get someone you trust to review everything before you submit. This is an area I've been dying to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about FlexJobs, flexjobs.com. We mentioned it earlier as a great place to find work at home. Here are just some of the industries that you can find online to work, and this is by no means limited. Medical and health, computer and IT, customer service, education training, sales, accounting and finance, marketing and website. With COVID-19, online sales have increased exponentially, so has the need for online workers. You no longer have to have a college degree to find employment online. Companies need customer service workers, sales agents. You get the idea. FlexJobs can help you identify those jobs. They tend to do a really good job filtering out online scams as well. Yeah, there is a slight fee for their service. And while normally I wouldn't recommend it, in this case, I think it might be worth it if you're interested in working from home. With local businesses closing down, you might want to consider remote work as a means to earn money and be able to still stay in your community. One thing I need to tell you, though, is make sure that you put work first. Companies aren't so excited about the fact that you're excited about maybe working from home. They want to know that you really want to do the job, that this is something that you're very interested in. So downplay the idea of I get to work at home and emphasize the work first. Let the company know that this is just the ideal job that you've been looking for because you're interested in this type of business. If you do not want to pay for FlexJobs and want to use another source, we recommend when searching for a remote or online job that you avoid using search terms like work from home or work at home. Employers seldom use these terms, and scammers almost always do. Instead, use the following terms: telecommute job, virtual job, remote job, distributed team, home-based, open nationwide, home shore, location agnostic. These terms are more widely used by the industry, and I have listed them in order of use. The first 3 you see listed in bold here are actually the most common used terms. Telecommute is a carryover term. Companies used to use that term for employees who worked at home from years ago. Telephone operators normally worked at home. They worked in sales, tech support, customer service reps. They often use the telephone for their primary means of communication. Apparently, that term is still in use. It didn't go away when talking about internet jobs as well. If you see one of these terms on a job posting, you will know what it means now. So make sure that you memorize those. If you apply for an online position, you may have an online interview. Let's talk about the do's and don'ts for that. In this section, we'll go over preparation, body language, and clothing. First, preparation. Choose a location that looks nice and tidy. An unclean house or office should not be viewable in the camera to your interviewer. Make sure it's tidy behind you. If you're sitting at a desk, don't have a lot of clutter. Also, avoid white flat backgrounds. It can make you look institutionalized. With that said, make sure you do not have any appropriate images behind you either. Check yourself in the camera before the interview. Has the setting you've chosen look neat? Does it look professional? Does it look like a pole is coming out of your head? Wherever you are sitting, you want to just make sure that it looks like you're doing a family portrait. How would you want to look at a family portrait? That's how it needs to look to the interviewer. Whatever you choose, it's important that you acquire good lighting. Natural lighting is best. This is the lighting that comes from a window. However, if that is not possible, then go ahead and use a strong light. That light should be in front of you, not behind you, to the side, or over top of you. This creates funny shadows on your face that can make you look weird on camera. You can appear depressed, dark, or even ill. Brighten yourself up so that you look more positive and cheery. If you place the light or the window behind you, then your interviewer will only see the glare of the light. Do not overdo the lighting. You do not want to be bleached out, nor do you want to be squinting when doing the interview. So find a nice balance. Do your updates before the interview. Many of us have automatic updates turned on. That's the last thing you need is for your computer to do an update and freeze up your computer or even turn it off. If you are screen sharing, you may not even know an update has started. So do those well in advance. Maybe the day before, just in case something goes wrong with an update, you need time to fix your computer. If you do not want to risk it, then just turn those automatic updates off until you're done with the interview. Research is always a must, whether the interview is in person or online. Do not forget to look up the company you are applying for. Make some notes. It's really cool when you can throw in a comment that communicates to the potential employer that you really want to work for them. For example, let's say you see online that the company has donated money to a local food pantry. You can say, I want to congratulate your company's support of our local community food bank. I saw that you donated $1,000 to that. I love companies that are involved in our neighborhood, and that's all the more reason why I would like to work with you. Or you can say, I see that the company is expanding into XYZ area. I would love to be a part of that effort. Hopefully, you're getting the idea of what I'm talking about. Now, let's look at body language. Body language is another way we communicate. Not too long ago, I learned about the 7 by 38 by 55% rule. That means that 7% of what is said is communicated verbally. 38% is communicated by how we say it. And 55% of what we communicate is through nonverbal communication or body language. When we do an online interview, the interviewer does not have access to that third verbal cue, which is 55%. That can actually work against you because they can only see you from the chest up. We want to make sure that you put yourself in the best light of the camera so that when you do the interview, you will make it feel more natural to the interviewer and you won't have as much distractions. Therefore, you need to make sure you leave a little space above your head when setting up your camera. Try setting yourself a little off camera too, maybe a little bit to the left or the right. We are trained for this view from our news media and TV programs. If you'll watch a newscaster next time, notice how they are rarely front and center of the screen, always just a little bit to the right or the left. Try to get the camera height equal to your face as well. Again, this makes you look natural and can avoid those shadows. We encourage you to raise your hands up a little higher into the frame while talking. Hand gestures can make the interview feel more comfortable for you and more natural for the interviewer. Do not overdo this. Just remember to get them in the frame every now and then while you're talking. It should be natural and not wild. Another thing we recommend is to lean forward occasionally towards the camera to really give the impression that you are listening to what they are saying and are engaged in the interview. Finally, look directly into the camera. They will tell you not to do this. People say all the time, don't look directly into the camera. But in this case, you really need to resist looking at the screen and look into the camera itself when speaking. This will make it feel like you are making eye contact with the interviewer. These next 3 frames here illustrate what I meant by placement. I often see this way too much space, way too much space above the head. It kind of looks silly. Another mistake often made is cutting off the forehead. Here is the correct screen image you're going for. Just a little off to the side. A small gap between the top of the screen and the forehead. See how much better that looks? It just feels right. Let's talk about clothing. You want to wear professional clothes. This will just help you mentally. I know people joke about wearing PJ bottoms or shorts because after all, it's not in the camera, but this is not wise. Dressing professionally will help you be sharp. You'll just feel more confident. Also, things can happen. You might accidentally have to jump up. People have failed to factor in a reflection in a mirror or a picture behind them as well. Just be safe and wear appropriate clothing. Ladies, since the focus will be on your chest and up, avoid anything low-cut for these types of interviews especially. And ladies, do not overdo the makeup. Remember, things just look different on camera. Too much makeup can give you a clown appearance. Some shades will look different. Check your makeup at the camera before your interview. Also, choose solids over patterns. Some clothes can strobe when broadcasting over the internet. We suggest avoiding patterns for this reason. This is a real good time to use neutral colors over bright colors. Remember, the camera and the internet can really alter colors when broadcasting. This is a really good time to stick with blue, gray, and black clothes. They're going to be best when they transmit. And we have to mention background distractions. Turn off your cell phones before the interview. It will only throw everything off. You can't talk to them anyway. So either turn it off or silence it. No vibrations either. Take handwritten notes while doing the interview. If you take notes, do not type. Not only will the sound of typing be distracting for the interviewer, he or she might think you're on social media or gaming. Simply ask, like you would normally in an interview, if it's okay for you to take notes. When you do, show them the pad and pen. Remember, they cannot see you like a live interview. If you hold the pen and paper up, you will communicate to them that I am really taking notes. Otherwise, they might think you're on your phone or texting. Then when you look down to write, they will wonder what you're doing. If you tell them in advance, When you look down, they'll know what you're doing. Get help with pets and kids. This is a big one. Barking dogs, cats jumping on the computer keyboard, and screaming kids are not good. The interviewer will not be amused. Well, they might be amused, but you may not get the job. Get help with them before you go online. You really need no interruptions. Think about possible issues, like an answering machine going off or a home phone ringing. Turn those things off or down while interviewing. Be careful you're not screen sharing. This has been a tragedy for people who had inappropriate things up before going online. Maybe it was an image, a post, or a game you were playing while waiting for the interview to begin. The meeting starts, you accidentally hit screen share, and now your future employer is seeing everything on your screen. Do yourself a favor, close out all that stuff beforehand, and be careful that you do not screen share. During the interview itself, try to relax. Try to be yourself. Don't fix your hair in the camera. If you notice the hair is sticking up, just reach your hand up very subtly and brush it back in a way that doesn't appear you're looking in a mirror, but that you're just naturally waving your hand through your hair. Just do not get caught looking at yourself in the camera like you would in a mirror during the interview. We want you to remember there can be delays on the internet, so let them finish before you start talking. If you notice that you have a bad delay or some kind of bad connection, tell the interviewer about it. See if they are experiencing the same problem. Apologize up front. If you respond too quickly and it cuts them off, you might even want to see if it's possible to reconnect and see if that fixes the problem. Whatever you do, remain calm. Listen closely and pause before answering. Interviewers are used to pauses even in face-to-face interviews before you answer anyway. So it's okay if you just pause. After the interview, make sure everything is off. This is huge important as well. Before you say anything you regret, make sure that you're disconnected. This has happened. People have made remarks about an interview or the person who did the interview before making sure they were properly disconnected. Do not make this error. Get totally out of the program before you comment. And even though it is an online interview, you still need to say thank you. You can send a thank you via letter or email. You can tell them thank you for your time and considering me for this interview. Whatever you do, let the company know you appreciated the time spent on you. And that's going to kind of bring me to a new tip number 6. Clean up your social media or go private and create a LinkedIn account. We recommend that while searching for a job, that you make your Facebook page private. That way, future employers who are trying to decide if they want to hire you won't see anything potentially controversial. Just tell your friends and family you're going private for a while. Human resource people are now checking you out on social media like never before they hire you. So be careful. If you're applying for a type of job where social media presence is good, then leave it. Leave it public, but make sure you clean it up. Delete any potentially embarrassing posts off your site, even posts that other people, friends or family, may have placed on your site. If you do make your social media accounts private, make sure you leave that LinkedIn account open so the company has something to look at, something where they can find you. And the LinkedIn account, this will be your professional polish site. So it'll be a good thing for them to look at. Let's talk about how to update your skills for free. In this section, the first thing we need to do is assess if you need to upgrade your skills. And then we'll talk about how to upskill. Whenever you want to apply for a job, compare your current skills with the job requirements in the posting. If there are skills that appear frequently in job postings that you do not have, then you may want to consider upgrading those skills. This happens all the time. For example, a bookkeeper might see that while they are proficient in QuickBooks, employers may want them to know an add-on feature or a new program. This is an indicator that you need to upgrade your skill base. This can happen in any profession. A certified driver might notice that a new driver safety course is wanted. A nurse or a CNA person might begin to see that a new CPR certification is required. This is continuing education, and employees who do not stay updated can be left behind or miss a promotion. So you need to check and see if it's there. Fortunately, there's all kinds of places you can go online to learn a new skill. Consider just some of the following online courses that are available in Microsoft Office, QuickBooks, and other essential skills. You can even find information on obtaining a high school equivalent degree or GED. You can take a college prep class. I recommend when working on a GED or college prep course that you stick to reputable colleges for those programs. There are some scams out there. Check with the manufacturers of programs. For example, you can get Microsoft certification online through the actual Microsoft website, and Google Ads certification through Google. Just go online to their sites and take their online courses. CWJC is an organization that can help you obtain job skills for free. If you are near us, contact us. See what we have to offer. If you're not in our area, do a search. You might find a CWJC or CMJC in your area. Or look for another nonprofit that provides assistance. You'll be amazed at how many things are out there where you can get your skills updated for free. This is our website. Feel free to explore it at CWJCNAC.org. This is our men's site at CMJCNAC.org. Here are those addresses again, just in case you need to write them down. You can even apply online once you go to our site. We want to thank our partners, Love Inc., City of Nacogdoches, and Drury Construction Company for their aid. We appreciate their assistance in the promotion of this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to contact us at contact@CWJCNAC.org. Thank you so much. Good luck on your job hunting, and God bless.